Hey everybody, it's your pal Globonaut and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Got a special one here for you today. We're going to be doing some gravity assists. I really enjoyed the planning of this, but the execution was rather painful, but we'll get to that. Now, gravity assists are a popular way of increasing the efficiency of your missions or getting to places that would otherwise require an obscene amount of delta V to get to. They're used in real life too, of course, with plenty of interplanetary probes doing all sorts of flybys to reach their destinations. The probe I'm using today is just a little one with an ion engine, a few instruments. We're deploying it here on top of a kick stage from my space shuttle. We're going to use the kick stage here, which is currently burning, to get to Venus. And we're going to do an old classic gravity assist technique, the Venus, Earth, Earth flyby maneuver. So we get one Venus flyby, two Earth flybys, and that's enough to kick us up to Jupiter. And once you reach the gas giants in the solar system, they're really your ticket to anywhere. The big gravitational wells can influence your spacecraft's direction and speed quite substantially. So that's the main goal at the moment, is to just get to Jupiter and see where that takes us. I did have a final goal in mind as we deploy the satellite here, or the probe rather. I wanted to see if I could get to the furthest object in the Sol mod. And if you know what it is, then you can enjoy that little challenge. But if you don't know what it is, I'm going to keep it a little surprise for the end of the video, because I think it's a cool little place to visit. We're just fine-tuning our approach to Venus here because it wasn't exactly close. This was one of the more expensive engine burns. All the delta V that I brought along in the probe, plus the more propellant, was needed in the end to get to my target destination. So I'm glad I packed as much as I did, because I ended up using it all. I'm sure there's better, more efficient ways to execute the mission that I've done today, but I'm not a NASA orbital engineer or whatever you call them, so sue me, I'm just enjoying the game. Flying by Venus now. Venus is known for its crushingly thick atmosphere and inhospitable conditions for anything we've sent down there. It is a horrific place to be, and you wouldn't survive 10 seconds. I don't think. It'd be just awful, genuinely horrific place. But you know, it looks cool in the game. Maybe we'll send something there eventually. There are plenty of planets for me to still visit, plenty of moons I'd like to visit in this mod, so more probes, maybe some little landers as well. We'll get round to it all. Just tuning our first Earth encounter here. We used Venus to kick us back up to Earth, and we're basically using all these gravity assists so far to increase our velocity, so we can have a higher and higher apoapsis and eventually reach the orbit of Jupiter, which will then kick us around where we want to go. So we're just getting an Earth encounter here, and in between all the cuts here I've set up all my encounters and things to other planets as well, so I know that these are going to be okay. But we're flying by here, no problem at all. Really cool shot. My advice for Principia gravity assist planning would be to look at the planet after your gravity assist in order to make sure that your gravity assist is actually contributing towards where you want to go. And here we are adjusting our second encounter with Earth, and this one's going to kick us up quite high. In order to take full advantage, we're going to also do an engine burn at periapsis, and we're going to take advantage of the O-berth effect in order to get a little bit of extra kick out of this gravity assist. That's going to basically push our apoapsis further up and hopefully get an encounter with Jupiter. I did this because I wanted to avoid doing a third Earth encounter. I could have done. It would have been probably the more efficient way to do it, but you know, I've got the fuel on board and I want to use it to save some time, so we're going to do that. Firing the engine here, supplementing our flyby with a little bit of extra delta V. That's going to push our apparatus quite far out. And we'll have to do a few orbits before we hit Jupiter. I think it's 1 or 2. But once we do, we can get to our next planet. Just doing some course corrections here as well in order to make sure our Jupiter encounter is efficient. Again, there's probably more efficient ways to do this, but once you consider the fuel that I've used here and the fuel it would have taken to go straight from Earth to my final destination, the fuel savings are still extraordinarily significant overall. So I'm quite happy with how this mission turned out. Just fine-tuning our approach, and eventually we'll do a flyby of Jupiter. And now I'm just going to do some fine adjustments with RCS to make sure it's how I want it. Always good to do some fine adjustments with RCS. And now we're focused on Saturn because we're going to do some additional adjustments so that our encounter kicks us rather close to Saturn, because I want to use it to do a big change in my velocity. So it's putting us closer in, because our next target after Saturn is quite far out, so we need a good change in our velocity to reach it. One of the main challenges with Principia doing these long-term missions as we fly by Jupiter is the prediction stuff can cause a lot of lag when you start doing years and years and years into the future. It was horrific in the end. The time it took to get to my final destination in real time, hours, because the time warp slows down significantly, and the number of days I need to predict into the future to make my nodes was disgusting. So the performance took a severe hit. But I did it in the end, and I will hopefully avoid doing missions this far out in the future because they are not easy. Thankfully, getting to Saturn, Jupiter and Saturn are not too bad. It's once you get past Uranus, sort of Neptune, Pluto, anything in the Kuiper belt, that is a major issue in terms of the time warp and the game's performance, trying to calculate so far into the future, but I made it work this time. You can see our flyby of Saturn is immensely close, and we get some fantastic views as a result. I've always found massive planets, black holes, mega objects like giant stars really intimidating, and it's kind of scary to me. Like, when I play games with black holes in, they freak me out a bit. Like Elite Dangerous, they freak me out in that. The pulsars freak me out in that as well. Stuff that's that big should not be moving so quickly. It's really weird, but the sense of scale is awesome. And I find them as terrifying as I do beautiful. Beautiful, interesting, scary. All sorts of emotions can be attributed to a lot of these celestial bodies, but the main one I'm thinking of is beautiful at the moment as we do our flyby of Saturn. I made sure to get plenty of shots here. The rings are certainly one of its outstanding features. There's cool moons around Saturn. There's some that sit between the rings. Obviously there's a big gap between the rings there. And there are a few small moons that sit there. Of course, the main attraction of Saturn's moons is Titan, which we might do a video on soon. Maybe we'll send a probe out, try and get an orbit around it. Maybe land something there, a rover potentially. Be a cool little mission to do. As we fly away from Saturn now, the probes still rotate like this during time warp because of Principia. It has persistent rotation. Get a closer look of the probe here. You can see some of the features: solar panels, ion engines, batteries. We've got an RTG as well, and some monopropellant. Also a magneto boom. I like adding those to my probes. I think it just makes them look cool. I'm not playing in silence mode, I play in sandbox mode, so I have no real use for it apart from the aesthetics. We're flying away now from Saturn, and we get a lovely shot of the rings with the sun in the background and the Terminator line giving the planet a crescent appearance. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Getting our next encounter tuned up, ready to go. Thankfully this manoeuvre was not as expensive in terms of Delta V. I did want to hit both Uranus and Neptune, but unfortunately that wasn't possible with the alignment. It was very, very, very close, but I couldn't get a close enough encounter with both for it to be worth it, and eventually I decided to settle on Neptune. We don't get a close encounter because I don't need that much change in my orbital parameters in order to hit my final target, so I elected to do a further flyby this time. Of course, Uranus and Neptune are ice giants, the ice giants of the solar system. They have only ever been visited by Voyager 2, if I'm not mistaken, so there's still a lot we can learn about them. As you can see, not a very close flyby, but it is very clearly visible regardless. And this is going to put us on course for our final and most important, I would say, destination. The one I've been teasing throughout the video, the one I have elected to not mention in a futile attempt to increase the watch time on my video here. We are going to Arrokoth. I believe that's what it's called. Arrokoth, excuse me, not Arrokoth. It's a Kuiper Belt object. It is further out than Pluto, and it's kind of two little asteroids smushed together. It's very interesting. But we're fine-tuning the encounter here, and you'll notice that I'm out of xenon gas, so I don't have the ability to use my ion engine anymore, but I did save a lot of monopropellant, which I'm going to use to complete this manoeuvre. Now, luckily I had almost the exact amount of monopropellant I needed, so I got very lucky here, and I'm very happy that I managed to complete my encounter with Arrokoth. Like I said, it's a Kuiper Belt object, so it is further out than Pluto. It's kind of like a time capsule of the early solar system. There's little to no impact craters, so it's a good source of information with regards to the formation of the solar system. And it has a reddish hue, and you can see it's kind of two asteroids that have gently collided over a long period of time and smushed themselves together. I think it's really cool. And there it is. Looks like a peanut. And that is our final destination. That was my challenge. I wanted to get to this object. It's the furthest one out in the mod. And I'm happy that I managed to do what I set out to do. Despite all the time warping problems and performance problems, we made it. Maybe one day I'll send another probe out and try and land on it. That would be a rather fun challenge, but I think it would be quite a tricky one. I'd have to bring a lot of fuel over, and that would create a tricky mission profile with regards to sending something so heavy out so far, but maybe it can be done. I'm sure there's people who know all sorts of tricks I could employ to do it. But for now, I will take my victory with the flyby. Okay guys, so I've loaded in the entire trajectory here so we can have a look at the entire flight from start to finish. Start the flight here. Earth was here when we started. We did our escape burn, bringing us to a Venus encounter, so we come slightly up here initially but it brings us down, and our first Venus encounter is roughly here. That kicks our apparatus up so we can meet Earth, and that occurs about here. We have our first gravity assist from Earth. That brings our apparatus up fairly high, but we come back down again for one more gravity assist from Earth, which occurs about here. And eventually that extends our apparatus quite far up. We do 1 or 2 orbits like this before we encounter Jupiter. And Jupiter kicks us off on a big trajectory change, as you can see, quite an aggressive one. Brings us round all the way up, gives us plenty of energy, enough to bring us to a Saturn encounter, which occurs here. Now the Saturn encounter is a very aggressive encounter. We flew very close, so that drastically alters our trajectory, as you can see. Brings us all the way out past Uranus to our Neptune encounter, which is just here. You can see it here. It very slightly alters our trajectory. We didn't fly too close, but it's enough to kick us up past Pluto and Arrokoth. Actually, we do a engine correction burn here in order to get our encounter with Arrokoth, and that's where we are now here. So you can see the number of gravity assists used gave us the range we needed. Of course, if we did an engine burn from Earth to Arrokoth, the delta V requirements would be insane. So just by flying by all these planets, we're able to get extraordinarily far. But that's it from me in this one. Hopefully this has inspired you to go off and do some gravity assist missions. If you do, let me know how you get on with them. But I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.